Welcome to the City Club of Eugene's March 24th, 2023 program, Candidates for Ward 7 for the Eugene City Council. This is the 23rd program of our 2022-2023 programming year, and my name is Karen Knutson, and I am City Club's president. The City Club of Eugene comes to you live today from the 5th Street Market District in the heart of downtown Eugene. Welcome to our moderator, KLCC's Brian Bull, and to our speakers, Lindsay Leach and Barbie Walker, two candidates for the Ward 7 Eugene City Council seat, as well as to all of our City Club members, to everyone here with us and listening. It is a pleasure to have you here as part of this community conversation. And I want to give a special welcome to the students from Kelly Middle School who are joining the City Club of Eugene today. It is wonderful to see you. For almost 30 years, the City Club of Eugene has remained committed to its mission to build community vision through open inquiry by providing weekly programs that offer the opportunity for community members to learn together, discuss important issues, and consider differing viewpoints. Through their participation, City Club members and speakers model respectful and curious civic engagement, which we hope informs and empowers our community to better engage with the important and sometimes difficult issues and work before us. We believe now, more than ever, that this open exchange of ideas and information is critical to the future and to the health of our community and to all communities. We create the space for civil dialogue about civic issues, and we invite all of you to join us every week and to hear directly from local, national, and international experts on local events. Of course, City Club cannot do this work without your help. Support for the City Club of Eugene is provided by our members and both business and in-kind sponsors. Our diamond sponsors are Kaiser Permanente, the University of Oregon, Peace Health, and Lane Community College. And we receive support from the City Club, from the City of Eugene and Lane County. Whether you're with us for the first time today or a long-time listener, if you value these sorts of community conversations, we invite you to support these programs by becoming a member at cityclubofeugene.org. Now, to introduce today's program and also to thank some of our sponsors. In the fall of 2022, voters in Eugene's Ward 7 recalled their city councilor amid concerns regarding communications with the community about decisions that were affecting them. The council interviewed several candidates for the interim position and appointed Lindsay Leach pending a special election in May 2023. Today, we welcome two candidates running in this special election, Lindsay Leach and Barbie Walker. And invitations were extended to all candidates that are currently on the ballot for the Ward 7 election, and the two candidates we have with us today graciously accepted that invitation. We are thrilled to welcome KLCC's Brian Bull as our guest moderator for this discussion. Brian has over 25 years of public media experience, and his work has netted dozens of accolades, including 4 national Edward R. Murrow Awards, 19 regional, the Ohio Associated Press Best Reporter Award, Best Radio Reporter for the Native American Journalists Association, and the PRNDI NEFE Award for Excellence in Consumer Finance Reporting. You all know Brian well from KLCC, and we are thrilled to have him with us today. Thank you, Brian, for agreeing to moderate this candidate forum, and welcome to the City Club of Eugene.
Thank you very much, Karen, for that very nice introduction. I am going to present a Q&A that will fill out the greater portion of this hour. And if there is time to, we will take questions from the audience. We did a coin toss just right before the session began, and Barbie took that. So she will be giving a 3-minute opening statement before we go into the question and answer period. And then after Barbie's 3-minute statement, Lindsay will do the same. So Barbie, you have the floor. And the microphone in just a second.
Oh, I think we're wrapped up here. Hi, everyone. Barbie Walker, candidate for Ward 7, Eugene, Oregon, which houses Santa Clara and River Road, Whitaker, Bethel, and Train Song. Thank you, everyone, for having us. It's important that we get together and have open dialogue and transparent dialogue. And special guest, Kelly Middle School. Always amazing to see youth here and engaged in things that will affect them in the future. And maybe someday we'll see one of you sitting right here. That'd be nice, huh? So Why am I running? That is kind of the question of the hour that I hear daily. As was mentioned earlier, there was a monumental recall that the voters did at the council level. They felt that their voices were not being heard and they were not being represented accurately. And in that monumental recall, I decided through my life experiences, whether I put myself there or I was put there, that I can be that voice. I can be the person that brings people's voice and their perspective back to the city council table. And it's time that we have some common sense and some pragmatic, solution-oriented decisions being made at that level. And so through many conversations and many meetings and what my life experience has afforded me, it was time to throw my hat in the ring, so to speak.
All right, and now a similar statement from Lindsay Leach.
Hello, I'm Lindsay Leach, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you all for coming, and thank you to our Kelly students. It's such a joy to see active involvement from our young people. So first and foremost, I am a mom of 2 young boys who are 6 and 9, and my partner's daughter who lives with us is actually 13, and she attends Kelly Middle School as well. I'm also the executive director of Well Mama. It's a small nonprofit here in Eugene, and we serve new and expectant parents through their journey into parenthood. So we provide them emotional, social, and mental support. I was appointed in December to the City Council, and the last 3 months has been just diving headfirst into hundreds of topics and not quite becoming an expert yet, but trying to get there, and really talking to as many people in our community and our ward, getting a sense of the needs and what is the priority, and consistently over and over and over hearing similar stories that we need to address our homeless crisis, that we need to address our mental health crisis and our housing crisis. So that's what I want to do, and I think my background and experience in nonprofit management and my education in organizational sustainability, going in and helping systems be stronger, is going to really lend well to our city council. So thank you again for having me, and I look forward to your questions.
We have about 20 questions here that were generated through participation of Kelly Middle School and some of the staff on KLCC that we will go through. And as I mentioned before, if we get through them all and there's still time allowing, we may allow audience questions from the floor. And I'll also alternate the order here between Lindsay and Barbie as well, so that we can keep them on their toes. First question will go to Barbie. What do you consider Ward 7's biggest assets and its biggest challenge? And I will also point out too that the candidates each have roughly a minute to answer these questions. I will be tracking time as they go through. So whenever you're ready.
Okay, start the time. Ward 7, biggest asset, diversity. We have such a diverse group of people that live, work, play, and contribute in Ward 7. So we have a smorgasbord of opinions and lifestyles and where they're coming from. And that's beautiful to have for Ward 7. And we've got a mixture of city and we have a mixture of county. And so that will be interesting to dive into that. And the second part was the
biggest challenge.
Biggest challenge is coming together, unity. So with diversity, we also have to meet each other where we are and be unified and pragmatic in decision making for the best of all of us, and keep everybody in mind, whether it's Santa Clara and Whitaker, River Road, train song, I'm trying to hurry, but it's that will be a big challenge, is meeting each other where we are and coming to a meeting of the minds and bringing it to the council level.
Very good.
Yeah.
Lindsay, I'll repeat the question again just to refresh your mind. What do you consider Ward 7's biggest asset and its biggest challenge?
Absolutely the people, but secondary to that, we have a beautiful Willamette River Greenway threading through our ward, And it is one of our whole city's biggest assets, most beautiful. We have the ability to immerse ourselves in nature just minutes from our home and enjoy the beauty that Oregon has to offer. The biggest challenge that we face is, the ward is so big and so complex with what Barbie was saying, the mix of county, the mix in city, and the different services they provide, and really coming together to be able to make a difference. I think we have a lot of the same goals that we see for our city, and we just sometimes don't agree on how to get there. So how do we get the people that, to the table to really talk about the issues and meet in the middle?
That was a minute sharp. Well done. Second question, and I'll stay with Lindsay here. If reelected, what will be your immediate priority for your ward or the city of Eugene?
I touched on this in my opening statement. 3 top priorities that I really think are a crisis in our community, and that's mental health, homelessness, and our housing. And those are all tied together. When you are unhoused, your mental health is going to be affected. And you're unhoused likely because we just don't have enough supply of housing in our community. So these 3 are interconnected in many ways, and I think it's a city's job to be able to address those in collaboration with many different types of government and organizations in our city.
Do you need the question repeated, Barbie?
Sure, let's do it for viewers just in case they're tuning in.
Certainly. Barbie, if you are elected, what will be your immediate priority for the Ward 7 or the city of Eugene?
So this is the election in May. There was an appointment, and so that is where the election will happen for who's elected. And the main concern, to mirror what Lindsay said, is very true. It's our unhoused and our homeless and the mental health that goes with that, whether it's biologically or it's addiction-induced. And how do we supply housing, and what are the barriers that we're putting up for the unhoused? Because right now our tents are not sustainable, and actually they're inhumane, right? That's just inhumane. And so we have to be solution oriented, and there are some really good people behind building affordable housing and are really good long time withstanding landlords that have homesteaded here, that have been here for 30, 40 years, that haven't raised rents and are providing those houses and want to continue to provide those houses. So let's continue to not put up barriers for the good housing and the good landlords and the good renters and renter retention, and then look at our inhumane, unstable, not sustainable tents that we have going on, and how we can move that.
Just a little over. Sorry about that. But,
That's all right. That's all right.
that's my job as moderator.
Thank you.
Now, to thrive, a city needs to build up and sustain a healthy economy while also taking care of its citizens. So, staying with you, Barbie, do you have any ideas how to keep Eugene economically strong while also caring for the old, the young, and those struggling to make ends meet?
Right, so economic development and stability is the core of a vibrant city, right? And so we have to be attractive to talent. We want to recruit talent, we want to keep talent, we want people to live, work, play, and retire here and be comfortable with that. So first thing is safety. People want to feel safe in their city, they want to feel safe in their homes, they want to feel safe in their downtown. So we have to make sure that's at the root also of economic development. And how does that go side by side? Well, we're not going to have companies come here when there's a safety issue or a homeless issue. We're not going to have people want to stay here and retire here when we have safety issues and there's not affordable housing and economic prosperity to retire here. So we have to look at being attractive to talent and being attractive to the students that graduate and people to stay here. A minute?
Okay, very good. Lindsay, do you need the question repeated? To thrive, a city needs to build up and sustain a healthy economy while also taking care of its citizens. Do you have any ideas on how you can keep Eugene economically strong while also caring for the old, the young, and those who are struggling to make ends meet?
Thank you. Our downtown economy really fuels a lot of our economy overall as a city. We need to invest in the downtown. We have some tools to do that with our urban renewal district. Every investment that we make in our economy in downtown is going to have effects throughout the whole city. We also need to invest in our workforce development. We need to place the right people in the right jobs. One of those areas is behavioral health. There's any number of behavioral health positions that are good working class, middle class jobs, and we don't have enough people to fill them. And those are the people that are taking care of our youth, our families, and our elder population. Thank you.
All right. Fourth question. And by the way, as we go through these questions, just because they came from a variety of different sources, they may be in some ways repetitive. So if you feel that you've already answered the question, feel free to kind of just do a refresh and just kind of answer it as if it's the first time you've been hearing it. Home prices remain very high across Eugene, which has some people looking elsewhere to purchase their very first house in places such as Cottage Grove, Veneta, Creswell. What can you do to help keep residents here in Eugene? And we'll stay with you, Lindsay.
Thank you. This is a really important question. I know 10 years ago when I was able to buy my first house, it was $150,000. And today, that house is $350,000. The house prices have grown astronomically, and it really has priced out our young families and our young individuals that are unable to build that equity and create a better life for themselves. I think we have to come up with some creative ways for people to build that equity, and some different policies that might allow us to use rental equity in mortgage payments, so we can help our young folks and our people to improve their financial position.
And Barbie, same questions here. High home prices across Eugene has people looking elsewhere and outside towns and cities looking to buy their first home. So what can you do to help keep them here within Eugene city limits?
Exactly. What can we do to keep people here when housing prices are, as Lindsay said, not affordable for first-time buyers? I do like the direction that we're going with ADUs and possibly building some equity there and having a place you can call your own. We have to look at our zoning. We have to look at SDCs and how we're changing maybe some places that were commercial. I know there was some plans already being talked about at the council level that were commercial, and maybe how do we convert that into sort of a condo living? You see these in other cities. And let's look for real solutions so people can build upon their equity at the age that affords them to do that, and that will then lead them to move on to continuing to build equity and thriving and want to stay here. But as prices are in Eugene, it just doesn't seem plausible or possible, and we have to be solution-oriented with that.
That's the tricky part, is that you get really warmed up, and then,
I know, then you
next
gotta
thing you
try
know,
to find a
60
wrap it up
seconds have
and-
already passed and then some. But this leads pretty well into the very next question, which is a recurring concern here in Eugene and has been for a number of years, and that is Oregon's homeless crisis, which is felt in all corners of the state. And I'll start with you, Barbie, here. Do you have any ideas yourself on helping out Oregon's homeless crisis here in the city?
Right, and so when we talk about homeless, I like to talk about homeless and unhoused and how people fit into those different categories. We have at-risk youth and homeless youth, the kids that can't go home. We have veterans. We have people that are down on their luck, whether they're wrapped up in the medical system and insurances, and how do people become unhoused in the first place? What I have done with the 4J School District and Junior League of Eugene is we have started things such as the Girls Youth House, that's St. Vincent de Paul up on Willamette Street across from It's 40th, and it was a church. And you have to have pragmatic and use of our nonprofits that are already there that work, right? And so the Girls Youth House is beautiful, and it's not institutional, and they want a place to live. And so let's stop the homelessness and unhoused leak at the youth level, and then let's also look to where we already have it at, and how do we get people that are in a mental health crisis, where are we affording them to go? We have to work with Lane County, look at their land areas also and the urban growth boundaries, and see where we can have sustainable, humane places for people to go, is what we need to do.
Are at time. And actually, that was a minute 24, so I'm going to extend the same courtesy to Lindsay for her response. Do you need the question repeated? All right, great. Ideas for helping out Oregon's homeless crisis here in the city of Eugene.
Yes, the governor declared an emergency, a homeless emergency throughout the state, and we see that there's going to be about $20 million invested into this crisis. I don't know what of that we'll get in our city, but it's not going to be enough. We have to do more. We need a drop-in center. We have a lot of different things that are happening every day. We have more affordable housing. We have more permanent supportive housing. We have more market rate housing, but we have to keep increasing those at more dramatic levels and making it easier for our affordable housing units to be built. So it's not an easy path, and there's not a magic wand, but we have to keep chipping away. In the meantime, trying to allow people to have a safe place to be, so that they don't have to continue moving around and continuing to have to deal with that level of safety every single day.
I'm going to throw in a quick question here, a new question here, because as I listen to the two of you, I feel that you're both on the same page for a lot of this discussion, which is wonderful. But for voters who are trying to make a distinction between the two of you, I'd like to hear you express in your own words what sets you apart from your opponent. And we'll start with Barbara.
What sets me apart from my opponent is when we did a monumental recall that's never ever happened in the city council level of Eugene, the people voiced that they wanted a change on council. That is what we said, and they wanted their voice to be on council and to be heard for various things, whether it's LTD and EMX or the right to vote and not given the right to vote. And what we have going on right now is the exact same counselors, and I believe we're kind of spinning our wheels for this city, and the direction it's going needs to provide safety, economic development, stability, places people can stay and retire and live, work, play, and contribute. And what we're getting is the same politicians and the same counselors and the same divide up there. What sets me apart is I'm not like that. I am problem oriented, solution oriented. Let's look at the facts. Let's work together, and no more bipartisanship. This is a nonpartisanship position, and we need to stick to that and be solution oriented.
All right, that is time. Lindsay, same question to you. What sets you apart from Barbie Walker on the Canada Come May?
You know, I'd like to respond to some of Barbie's comments, in that you know, there was a recall, and I am not the same as our previous counselor. I am my own person. I'm a young mom, and I represent a lot of different segments of our ward and our community. I'm a nonprofit leader. I care deeply, deeply for this community, and I do represent our ward. Our ward is very diverse, and it's quite progressive in the majority of it. Most of my views do align with the majority of the ward, and I think I can bring that deep sense of compassion, empathy, and a strong sense of really where the people are, because I work with them every single day in my job.
All right, thank you. We're going to track back to homelessness now. This question comes from our visiting students from Kelly Middle School. And one of them wrote, "What are we going to do about homeless people camping in our parks?" This person writes that she can't play at her local park anymore because of the camping. And we'll stay with you, Lindsay.
Thank you for that question.
You're the one who asked? Oh, well, thank you
You
very much
are?
for contributing.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry that you don't feel safe in your parks. That's not okay. Parks are not a place to camp, so there are things that you can do to report camping in the park. They're supposed to be closed to camping or to all people from certain hours, and it depends on where you live. If you're talking about Emerald Park, you would have to have your parents call the Lane County Sheriff's Department. If it's city, then we call the city department, and there's reports. Of course, our system is trying to support these people and get them housed as soon as possible, but allowing the authorities to do their job is the thing that we can do at the moment.
Do you mind, just so we can pick it up on the recording, well, do you mind sharing your name and your grade, please?
My name is Dylan Decker. I am in 7th grade, and my park right next to my house, I live quite close to here. My sister wants to play in, but she cannot because it's filled with the houseless, and it's really disappointing because I feel bad for her and I feel bad for them because they have nowhere to go, that they're camping in a children's park. And we're finding like really bad things that we should not find in a children's park, and we've had it cleared out. We voted on a porta potty being put there, but it got set on fire, and it's just very difficult for us to, go out there and actually do things.
All right, let's hand the mic over to Barbie there, and the same question here as Dylan has just phrased it. What are we going to do about the homeless people camping in our parks and enable kids to use those spaces safely?
Right. Thank you, Dylan. Strong words. Very passionate. Appreciated that you have the courage to speak up about that. So I have walked amongst the camping parks, Washington Jefferson Street Bridge, and it seems like every few years it pops back up. And when I was walking through that several different times, it becomes very territorial. You're right. I got followed, I got hissed, I got clicked at, and it is very apparent that there are stolen items there, that there is not favorable things happening there, drug use, and I have also walked through the campsite that was over on 13th by the Armory. Same thing. His stat followed, what are you doing here? Very territorial. Well, these are public spaces, right? These are your spaces that you should be able to go into. We have a wonderful, wonderful chief of police, Chief Skinner, and I encourage you to talk directly to him and tell him what's going on. And I will as well revisit that, because we cannot allow to enable destructive behaviors like this in public places that we should be able to go into. These aren't places to homestead tent cities. So I agree with you.
All right. Thank you very much. Now on to safety, and we'll stay with you, Barbie, here. The Eugene Police Department chief told reporters earlier this month that due to staffing and hiring challenges, there are about 24 officers short on the force. Do you see any ways to help with this issue?
Right. I just listened to an LGAC and chamber meeting with the chief of police, Skinner, and man, the way he thinks is amazing. He is right there with us. He is on board for safety. And what's happening right now is when the safety payroll tax came about right before COVID, there was planning before it, and then right before COVID, we had about 200 police officers on the force, and that's everybody. That's not just patrol. And now we have people retiring for various reasons or moving on for various reasons. So what I would like to see is some great recruiting, right? We recruit pretty good for our football team, right? So let's recruit for this town, and let's also be recruitable for this town. You see in other cities things that aren't working. If you want to reflect on Portland, people like to do that a lot, or Seattle or Tacoma or Puyallup. That's not working there for the police force. We are not Portland. We do not want to be Portland's downtown. We are ourselves. We have a great chief, and I think we need to invest in some recruiting.
And that's a minute. All right. And now shifting to Lindsay. Again, the EPD chief has announced that there's roughly 24 officers that they're short of there on the force, and how can you help them with that issue?
Yeah, it's such a tough job. It's such a needed job, but it is so difficult and it is hard to recruit for. I think one thing that we have done successfully is start to pull apart some of those duties of police officers and created community service officers and neighborhood service officers to help the community in different ways and allow our police to focus on the crime. So can we think about doing more creative things like that? Can we use technology in our traffic patrol, like has been done in some other cities, to allow the officers that we do have to focus on their jobs and continue to recruit, of course. It's a hard system to recruit for, but they're some of our most necessary positions.
All right, thank you. Hate crimes have seen a steady uptick across Oregon in the last few years. Recently, there have been anti-Semitic flyers seen in parts of Eugene and Springfield, and there still continue to be incidents against anti-Asian or anti-Asian incidents reported in the community. How can local residents of color and the LGBTQ community be protected and supported from hate crimes? And Lindsay, we'll stay with you.
Absolutely. It's every single one of our jobs to report things that we see and declare to our community that this is not okay. I was very encouraged, even though I was devastated that this occurred, the anti-Semitic flying. I was very encouraged by the rapid response of our community neighborhood associations to rally and to put out good, accurate information on how to report. So we all have to come together and say, this is not okay and we will not tolerate this in our community, and we need to do that for our BIPOC community members and not expect that to come from them.
Barbie, do you need the question repeated?
No, thank you, though. So we did come together in strong force and heart and mind, and I saw Lindsay there as well. The Santa Clara River Road community, everybody came together and went door to door to express our angst, and we are against any hate. Everybody deserves to be happy and healthy and live in their community and feel safe and represented. And it was great to see us all kind of come together and said, you know, this might be happening across the U.S. and it is happening and it's there, but we will not allow it here in our city. We will not, and when it does, we will show that we will not allow that, and we will be supportive in any way we can. And I think we're all on the same level of that. And so we do need to always represent the underrepresented, the BIPOC community, and people that are marginalized, and make sure that they feel heard, and let them sit at our table, everyone's table, at the city council table is what I'm getting at. And in our community organizations, let's get them as leaders at our community organizations. You know, let's diversify who's sitting at what table, right?
All right, thank you. That's time. And we'll go ahead and stay with you, Barbie, for this next question here. And this was just breaking news as of yesterday. Eugene voters will decide the fate of the city's new ordinance that bans fossil fuel hookups in new low-rise residential buildings. So, Barbie Walker, do you support that ordinance?
This is an in-depth question and conversation. So I do agree that there is climate change that is happening, and we need to be present and cognizant about tackling that. And I was one of the first organic green chemistry classes in University of Oregon, and you had to choose to be in that. And I do also believe the right to vote. I think every student here, every person here wants to be heard. I feel like this is, can everyone hear me? Okay. Wants to be heard. And so when you see students accumulating at Kesey Square and they're talking about their voice, that's empowering, right? And they learn from that. Also, what's empowering is the right to vote. And we need to give the people the right to vote, especially when they're speaking so strongly about as something as an energy source being banned. And the very people we're trying to help, the future generations, we are marginalizing and can be marginalizing them in the fact that you have half a generation to then take out of your house your your Northwest Natural Gas stove, your furnace, your fireplace, you're looking at a $30,000 swing for your house. That's marginalizing. E-Web bills
All right.
right now are
We're at
$200, right?
Minute 10
Double.
right there. So, yes, sorry about that. You know, it is a big picture. I may just kind of relax some of these time limits here, but I thought that was a very thorough. Now, Lindsay Leach, you voted with City Council to prevent this question from being posed directly to voters in the first place. So I guess it's kind of a two-parter for you to explain that vote and also where you stand with this ordinance going before voters, please.
Yes, I voted for the ordinance. I firmly believe that the council's job is to enact code, and specifically building code across the whole city. We tell people when and where and how high, how much to build, and that's the council's job. So that is why I thought it was under the purview of the council to be able to make that decision. In terms of the ordinance itself, we've been talking about this for over 15 years. 15 years of community input, 15 years of a climate recovery ordinance that has a goal of reducing our emissions by 50% by 2030. We have our Climate Action Plan 2.0, and all of these things are measurable things that we can do to help our climate. And this has had an immense amount of community input and support from our community for many years.
All right. I'm going to revisit another recent vote by the City Council, and that was a 4-2 vote to allow a couple nearly 10-story buildings in the area before Skinner's Butte, which some people complain kind of obstructed a natural landmark in the city. So we'll stick with you, Lindsay, for this one. Should there be a limit to developments in the vicinity of such notable landmarks? Why or why not?
I think we have to take everything case by case, as we do at the council level. In this case, I voted to approve the height limitation expansion because it added market rate housing, and we have been talking, for most of this forum on the need for more housing. And I'm always going to vote for more housing in this city because that's our number one priority. So in this case, I weighed the costs and the benefits and decided that more housing was the thing to vote for.
And Barbie Walker, same question here regarding the recent vote to put 2 10-story buildings right before Skinner's Butte. Should there be a limit to these kind of developments?
Right. We do have to go case by case for these types of developments because we do have to protect our open spaces, our greenways, our waterways, our beautiful Oregon, right? Our beautiful Eugene. And what we don't want to do is go from low density to a high density at a whim. We have to be really cautious about disrupting ecosystems, biodiversities, different niches, and also who are the different players in this? What are the pros? What are the cons? Who's the who's who? What's the collateral damage going to happen? But we do need housing, and we at the council level and city planner, city engineer level, we all have to put our heads together and make sure that we're doing justice by our open spaces and our greenery, and that keeps Eugene beautiful.
Looking back to last year, while many regarded the 2022 World Track and Field Championship a big success for the city of Eugene's profile, many local businesses say they never experienced a boom in customers during the event. If the city hosts a similar event again soon, how would he help those businesses do better? We'll stay with you, Barbie.
Yeah, what a beautiful event, Eugene. We're so proud to be able to house that event. I think it went off flawlessly. The athletes are here to compete, and people came from all over the world to see our athletes, and at the same time, they also traveled to other places in Oregon. They went to the coast, they went everywhere, into the dunes, and then they traveled beyond to the U.S. And I always love seeing our little track town, USA, there on campus in Hayward Field, and then we had a nice area also for any overflow and to give people a place to go. I would like to see something similar to what we used to have. It was kind of the Eugene Celebration downtown. that would have been nice. Let's get some beautification and let's have something similar down there. The Eugene celebration was great, and I think that would have been a great opportunity to highlight our downtown shops and businesses.
And the power of technology, I got locked out of my phone before I could see what the duration of that answer, so I just going to hope that that was a minute, more or less. Lindsay, same question here regarding those businesses that had hoped to do better during the World Track and Field Championships. Anything that you would do to help them prosper more during such a significant event?
Absolutely. We can pair different type of celebrations and festivals to draw some of the crowd into different areas of the city. But I think when I talk to specifically businesses in the downtown, they were frustrated because they thought the city was just cleaning up the whole city to appear to be this friendly place for people coming in, but that it wasn't an ongoing effort to actually keep our people, in our city, like housed and clean, and our streets. So those businesses are really frustrated because they thought that was preventing the business from coming. So can we treat our city as if there's a world looking at it all the time? Do we have the resources or the respect for our whole city to do that? And I think we need to show that we do.
Staying with the World Track and Field Championship topic just a bit longer here. On a very similar note, there were homeless advocates who said the city was focused more on polishing up its profile and shifting the unhoused community away from many venues. Do you feel these concerns are valid, and how might you do things differently next time? I'll say with you, Lindsay.
Yeah, so I get to continue on my thought. Is it, again, can we show that same level of priority all the time to ensuring that our people have a place to sleep that is appropriate, rather than, in our downtown so can we care for our people, care for our city at the same time and show that level of care? I think we can. We showed that we can do that when the worlds were going on. That means we can do it all the time.
All right, and Barbie, same question here. Do you need the question repeated?
Sure, let's go ahead and repeat it.
Sure. Many homeless advocates during the 2022 World Track and Field Championship said that the city was focused more on polishing up its profile and shifting the unhoused away from many venues. Do you feel these concerns are valid, and how might you do things differently?
Right. So when you have the world looking upon you, you do have to up your game a little bit, right? We do have to be attractive to certain things like the worlds so that they continue to come to our beautiful Hayward Field and our city. So we did have to do some major cleaning. I believe that we should also continue to utilize our nonprofits that are providing housing, right? Like I mentioned earlier, the St. Vincent de Paul Girls House, and then we need to do a boys' house, and we started to do that, and we need to revisit that also. And let's get some housing going with the county, like I said earlier. So if we were able to make our city beautiful and attractive to such venues as the Worlds, what were we doing there? And yeah, again, how can we continue that and using the budgets that we have and the nonprofits that are working right now, the ones that are working, and not try and recreate the wheel, so to speak, with bringing in another nonprofit when we do have equitable and nonprofits working at this and continue it.
All right. I'm going to shift back to Kelly Middle School, who submitted this question. And a student there asks, and we'll stay with you, Barbie, on this, what specifically are you doing to prepare for the Cascadia Subduction Zone's unavoidable earthquake? Is that a topic even being discussed? And the student adds, we need reinforced buildings, emergency supplies, and community plans. So yes, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, that's a big one. I have been reading up on that, and I that is scary. So that is one of the reasons why our city building and other buildings were looked at for redesign and reinforcement. And I do believe our city hall now is going to move into the E-Web building, and I know that city planners and engineers have looked to that. and other buildings, bringing them up to code, right? And so we do have community organizations, Santa Clara Community Organization, River Road organizations, and Whitaker organizations that do hold disaster planning almost on a weekly basis. And we do have hubs that we can go to that different houses and people have signed up. You can go to this house over here for shelter or food or water, and whatever people can sign up for. There are disaster plans in the works and continue to be in the works, and our first responders are also continuing education constantly for things such as this. And so I say, you know, let's not be scared, let's be prepared and continue to be prepared.
All right. Yes, a minute one if we're going to be technical, but Lindsay, what specifically would you like to do to prepare the area for the Cascadia subduction zone's earthquake, if and when it happens? Well, when it happens.
So part of that question was, is this question even being talked about? Yes, it is. We've talked about floodplain management, making sure that we're on par with FEMA requirements to have flood insurance. We contract with EWEB. EWEB is ensuring that our dams are sufficient and ready to contain flood. EWEB actually has some programs, because this has to be at the individual level as well as the city level. So making sure that each of us is ready in the event of any kind of an emergency. And they have really great plans that will walk you month to month on a small thing that you can do to be better prepared. So it's about information, it's about ensuring that each of us feels prepared and knows what to do, where to meet as a family unit, how much food you'll need for the foreseeable future in that event. So we should be talking more about resiliency with our city, and I know that conversation will continue to happen at the council level.
All right. And Barbie Walker brought up a point there in her response that I'm going to turn to right now, which is my next question, and we'll stay with you, Lindsay, on this one. Do you support the City of Eugene's decision to purchase eWeb's former headquarters and turn it into the new City Hall?
I do. I think the city needs a cohesive place to be, and this was a very good investment. And even if it's not City Hall forever, it's a very good investment to purchase this building, and it's going to allow the city to have a lot of cost savings over time to be able to reinvest that savings back into services in the community. So I absolutely support that, with the caveat that we have to pay attention to how we are transitioning from our city buildings to eWeb to ensure that our downtown is left viable and sustainable.
Lindsay Leach, thank you. Now to Barbie Walker, same question. Do you support the city's decision to purchase eWeb's former headquarters for its new City Hall?
Yes, yes, I do. I do support that decision. I believe Councillor Clark brought that up about, 7-10 years ago, and I'm glad to see it moving forward, because what we didn't want to see is budgeting for a brand new build when we have usable buildings that are there that we can use. So let's not make and create more tax dollars for new builds when we have an eWeb building there. That's great. So yeah, I do support that.
We probably have about 4 minutes left for maybe one or two more questions and then closing statements before I turn it back to Karen here at the City Club. So here's one that our news director of KLCC had sent me, and we'll stay with you on this one, Barbie. Looking at the ward boundaries mapped for Eugene, the 7th Ward includes more than a dozen unconnected islands, quotation marks, that are part of the city but are surrounded by unincorporated Lane County. How well is the city doing at serving these scattered pockets? Should there be a concentrated effort to connect those pieces of Eugene with the main portion of the city?
Right, yeah, Ward 7, that's an interesting map. Did you want to say so?
Okay, yep, 5 minutes I called it.
Okay, interesting map, right? You've got just right in the middle of Ward 7 pockets of county. And so how city is helping with that is if you want to switch over to city, maybe you do want to tie into eWeb and water supply. They're ready to do it. I don't know financially if that is the best choice for people living in the county. I'm speaking to property taxes, right? And so I do think the city does take care of the roads and the sidewalks, and with the help of the county, working side by side, what first responders are going to go to what, whether it's, are you county, are you city? And that kind of gets a little jumbled for residents, right? This house is county, your next door neighbor is city, and how do we all work together? I think it should be people's options, whether they go from county to city, but the city is ready to help with any way they can to move people to the city for various reasons. They're there, but the county, Lane County, also needs property tax dollars, and underfunded for their first responders, and that's where some of the taxes go.
And that
I
is
could
time.
go on and on.
Lindsay, do you need a question repeated?
No.
All right.
It's absolutely an interesting ward with these pieces that are city and county. Not everyone even knows where they are, and they have to look up who they must call for services, whether that's the Eugene Police Department or the county sheriff department. And so it is tricky, but I don't think that the way forward is through forced annexation. I think people need that choice. Right now, the process it might be a little flawed, but if you would like to make improvements and get a building permit to improve your house or your property, then you will need to annex into the city. So that's just going to have to, I think, happen naturally.
All right. One more question, and that is simply, and we'll stay with you, Lindsay. What is an issue unique to the 7th Ward that people in other parts of the city may not be aware of, or that you wish your colleagues in City Council cared more about?
I think in general, our ward is very working class. We have, some significant challenges that not all of the other wards have to have. And those challenges make it more tricky to represent. We have a lot of services concentrated for our unhoused population in the Whitaker, which means we have a lot of unhoused population throughout, and we have all of the train tracks running through, and these pose a lot of challenges that I don't think a lot of the other wards necessarily can really feel. And we need to invest some significant resources into these challenges specifically for Ward 7.
All right, thank you, Lindsay Leach. Barbie Walker, do you need the question repeated?
No, thank you, though. So I resort back to when I was walking around Ward 7 over the River Road area and talking to neighbors about the Greenway and how they have had their houses there for generations and years, and how they can walk basically right to the Ruth Bascom pathway, and then there's the Willamette River, and how beautiful it is, and how now they're being sold on, we need housing, right? And they're being sold on the low density housing being also built to continue to be low density, and that's not actually the case. That's happening to them over there, and this is unique to Ward 7 in that area. What's happening is low density builds are actually now coming to fruition as high density builds, and these people, when you walk down their streets, they're no outlet streets, and then there you've got the Ruth Bascom, and you got the Greenway, and you've got the water, and they've lived there for years, and now they've got these high rises. And yes, we do need housing, but we have to be cognizant of who our neighbors are and be good stewards to the people that live there currently, and they're really upset about that. They're really upset.
I need a call for time there. We have, that concludes the question and answer portion of this program. I want to thank everyone who submitted questions, and we now turn to final statements by the candidates for Ward 7. And per the coin flip, we're going to reverse that in order. So that means that Barbie Walker makes the first closing statement, followed by Lindsay Leach. Go ahead, please.
I think I did the opening. Yeah.
There's closing statements.
Oh, well, anyways.
It could be as simple as that's all, folks.
That's all, folks,
Most
right?
candidates like to do a little more in depth.
Sure. Again, thank you, everyone, for being here and taking your time out of your day to ask these important questions and get to know us as candidates. There's so much to cover. There's so much going on right now in the city that's very important to everybody, not just Ward 7. And I hope that I can represent everyone at the table equally and equitably, and continue to do that. We just touched a little bit upon our background, educational background, occupational background, but I think as I get to know you and you get to know me better, that you'll be able to see that I will be able to be that strong voice at that table for you and bring you to the table and listen, and let's be pragmatic and problem solving for a better Eugene.
All right. Lindsay Leach, your final statement.
Yes, I want to echo the sentiments. Thank you so much for having us. It's such a pleasure to be able to talk about our city and all of the things that are impactful for all of us and what we need to do together to make our city stronger. We have to work together, and we have to do that at the council table, but all along with all of our citizens. So I'm happy. Please reach out for any questions you might have, and support your candidates. It's a big thing to volunteer to be in this position, and so I commend my opponent here, and I look forward to the rest of the election process. Thank you.
I would like to thank our Ward 7 City Council candidates, Lindsay Leach and Barbie Walker, for their time, their information, and a very civil discussion, and everyone too for their questions, and our technician team here at City Club for keeping us on track of everything. Thank you all very much. Do I turn it over to, there we go. All right. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Randy Bowers-Payne. I am the City Club's Managing Director. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Lindsay, Barbie, and Kelly Middle School students for joining us today at the City Club of Eugene. Thank you also to the business and in-kind sponsors whose support helps make City Club possible. Thank you to our diamond sponsors, Kaiser Permanente, which exists to provide high-quality, affordable healthcare services and to improve the health of our members and the communities we serve. More information is available at www.kp.org. To the University of Oregon, which helps Oregonians question critically, think logically, reason effectively, communicate clearly, act creatively, and live ethically since 1876. You can get more information at uoregon.edu. Peace Health has been proud to serve Eugene, Lane County, and beyond as your hometown healthcare partner for more than 80 years. The Peace Health mission is to keep you and your family healthy. Learn more at peacehealth.org. Lane Community College transforms lives through learning. LCC provides comprehensive, accessible, high-quality educational opportunities that promote student success. You can also learn more at lanecc.edu. And thank you to the City of Eugene and County for their support. Thank you also to today's Sapphire sponsor, AARP, which is dedicated to empowering people aged 50 and over and keeping Oregonians informed, engaged, and active. You can learn more at states.aarp.org/Oregon. And thank you to today's gold sponsors, Headshots Eugene and Hummingbird Wholesale. Thank you to our in-kind sponsors, KRVM, 91.9 Radio, PAC Info, and Simplified Computing LLC, Dotson's Photography, and also a special thank you to our award-winning public radio station, KLCC FM 89.7, for airing City Club programs on Mondays at 7 p.m. For those listening at home right now, your household is one of several thousand tuning into City Club on KLCC. We love that you're here. You can also find all recent City Club programs archived on KLCC, as well as our YouTube channel and as podcasts. Finally, thanks to all of you for tuning in and engaging in the community discussion. Join us next week on Friday, March 31st for a program featuring science projects that are good enough to eat. Everyone is invited to become City Club members, a sponsor of our work, or to suggest an idea for an upcoming program. You can do that at cityclubofeugene.org. Thank you again to our speakers and our guest moderator today. Thank you also to all of you for joining us at the City Club of Eugene. Take care, and we'll see you next week.